Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has put out a string of tweets that certainly caught the attention of the cryptocurrency media as well as a Moon Lambo. And what is this about? Well, here's a headline from crypto media outlet You Today. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse breaks his silence on companies' plan to move abroad. Now, I suspect at this point most of us are aware of the discussion that's been going on the topic of Ripple potentially changing its headquarters to a location outside of the United States. And this stems from several days or so ago when Chris Larsen first brought up the concept of this. Chris Larsen, of course, being a co-founder of Ripple, the company. So lots to go through here, but before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you would please ever so delicately tap the like button, I would most certainly appreciate it, because if you do, it will tell the YouTube algorithm to push this content out onto other individuals that are likely to also be interested in the same topic. So if you think about it, you're doing a favor for other people if you don't completely hate it, right? And also go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. Why? Why should you do that? Because the Moon Lambo channel is the best channel on all of the YouTubes. There isn't a close second. And this is not some sort of subjective opinion. This is objective reality. This cannot be disputed. Join us. All right, so just to quickly set the table, where this all stemmed from, there's this piece from You Today from just a few days ago. Ripple is close to moving out of the United States, says former CEO Chris Larsen. And so Fortune reporter Jeff John Roberts, a former Ripple CEO Chris Larsen, in an interview there, revealed that the $10 billion blockchain payment company was close to leaving the U.S. due to regulatory hostility. While the decision is not final, Larsen mentions the UK and Singapore as the two countries where Ripple would most likely relocate its headquarters. And here's a quote from Chris Larsen. "We don't know how it's gonna exactly play out. You know, those countries are trying to sort of become the fintech centers of the world. You have clarity in places like Switzerland, the UK, Singapore, and Japan." Now, the UK specifically, that should not be terribly surprising that would be on the radar. Like that's one of the places they're considering, because if you think about it, the FCA, which is the Financial Conduct Authority over there, they declared that XRP is a utility coin. And so right there, you don't have to worry about the security issue moving forward and perhaps getting hammered there. Now, to be clear, it doesn't mean that they'd get out of any sort of legal troubles that they'd be in the United States necessarily. But as I fleshed out in a previous video, it's they're going to be less what's the word, like hamstrung, basically. Is that the am I using that right? I hope I am. I don't know. If not, you got the cut of my jib, right? And so again, to me, it was not a surprise whatsoever. And I'll show you too. There's a community poll that was just for fun. Somebody put out, and I'll show you in just a second the results. But the question was, do you think that Ripple is going to move their headquarters outside of the United States? So these comments from Brad Garlinghouse and him breaking his silence, this happened today, just earlier this morning. So this is pretty gosh darn fresh here. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has finally offered more clarity regarding his company's plan to relocate its headquarters to another country in an October 12th Twitter thread. Garlinghouse is not ruling out the possibility that the $10 billion company could move abroad if the U.S. does not level the playing field with a comprehensive regulatory framework. And so I'm just going to pull up the actual Twitter thread right here and run through this with you. Here we go. Yeah, so lots of speculation last week as Team Ripple considers some very important decisions about our future. I want to clarify a couple of things related to some of what I read. Ripple is a proud U.S.-based company. Ripple abides by and supports critical laws like strong BSA and AML controls that keep bad actors out and consumers safe. We are not looking to evade U.S. regulation. However, last week's Department of Justice report lists 8 separate U.S. regulatory bodies, each with a different view, such as crypto is property, crypto is a commodity, crypto is a virtual currency, Crypto is a security, etc. Regulation shouldn't be a guessing game. To make matters worse, some U.S. regulators have already made decisions that actively favor Chinese technologies over United States companies. Legislation like the DCEA can bring U.S. companies to equal footing. And what do you think he's talking about there before I continue? Favoring Chinese technologies over U.S. companies. Well, what he's effectively talking about, regardless of origin, is Bitcoin and Ethereum, and just due to the nature of how they reach consensus with proof of work mining. And Chris Larson actually mentioned as much, so the Bitcoin and Ethereum have gotten a pass, and whereas arguably they're in control of China, basically. Even though there are individual mining entities, so it's not one super entity that controls 51%, so they can't conduct a 51% attack. Even so, the Chinese government, in theory, if they so chose to take it over, could do it rather quickly, and then they'd have control at that exact moment right there. And that is a legitimate concern. That's a reasonable point of discussion for people that don't have their head in the sand and just want to engage in thoughtful, critical thinking. Bitcoin maxi trolls, though, no, they just brush it off without, from what I've seen on that particular point, if you're talking about an actual government takeover, I haven't, it should just be acknowledged, yeah, that would actually be a problem. And I haven't seen a good retort to this point that would make me think that it wouldn't potentially be rather serious. And then Brad Garlinghouse wrapped up by tweeting, finally, quote, "The lack of a single national regulatory framework is putting U.S. innovation and U.S. companies at a significant disadvantage. All we're asking for is a level playing field. If we need to move to another country to get that, then that's the path we will have to take." And so that final sentence, as far as if we have to move to another country, we'll do it if we have to. Is that a bluff? I don't get the sense that he's bluffing. And to what end would that be beneficial? I mean, really, like this single, like what they're doing right here, like suddenly the United States federal government is going to get their act together because of one fintech startup company. Are they still a startup technically? It's been around almost a decade. But because of one fintech company in San Francisco is the United States government going to actually oh, Ripple's going to move. Now we're going to... I don't know. I don't know if they care enough. That's the thing. I just look at where they're... Look at their motives and where it's aligned. If Hester Pierce of the SEC is right, my gosh, it's all about they're afraid to create legislation because if it goes bad, they're worried about being tied to it and the ramifications for those individuals personally. If that's her opinion, she even cited that again recently. Even if he were trying to do that to get him to move, I don't think it would do anything. Not really. I mean, maybe some people would listen. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that the federal government doesn't listen to people at Ripple, especially Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO. I'm not saying that. But my gosh, even if a handful of people listen, to what degree is that going to get stuff moving? I get the sense that this might take a little bit longer than people are thinking. Which brings us to this little poll from Anders L., XRP community member, who wrote, "Do you think Ripple will move their headquarters outside the U.S.? Yes or no?" I actually just wanted to view the results, but you can't do that without voting. So I clicked yes, but that's not precise enough. For me, it's more like if nothing changes, if I had to guess, I'd say, yeah, Ripple's probably going to move. At this exact moment, I don't know, man. But I still had to click one of them, so, But I think that's how a lot of people respond to polls like these. It's like, well, I'm not sure which way do you lean, or this most closely aligns to what I actually think, stuff like that. And so it's not actually my position that I literally think, yes, Ripple's moving. I don't have enough data to make it reasonable to believe that. And really nobody does. And so that's why it was just kind of interesting to see what people think here. But 46.9% said yes, Ripple's leaving the country. 53.1% said no. And so for me, if nothing changes at some point, I don't think Ripple's going to have much of a choice if they want to speed up the rate at which adoption's actually going to take place here for them. So it's just one of those things where it's like all good things in time. And so there's a response from Frecky here up on the Twitters, who wrote, "If Ripple doesn't get U.S. support, yes, they will relocate their HQ outside of the U.S. Other jurisdictions already have favorable regulations and support. Ripple won't be the only U.S. company to move." And that is a sentiment that rings true to me. I share that opinion. That's why I'm not going to go so far as to say, yes, I firmly believe Ripple is going to be relocating. but it's certainly within the realm of possibility. And for me, like I'm not going to blame them one bit. Look, like I've said in past videos, look, I am a citizen of the United States, proud citizen, happy to be here. It's a great country. I live in the good old Midwest, and I'm also an XRP holder. And so, frankly, if this country that I love is slowing down reasonable adoption, adult responsible adoption within this, utilizing blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies, then leave. Yeah, I take no issue with that whatsoever. If that's what's going to be better for Ripple, the company, great. Because I suspect if that's going to be better for Ripple, the company, at some point, it's going to matter in terms of price action for cryptocurrencies. Actual use cases for developers building on top, and so of blockchains. And so I suspect, my fun little guess, that would be good for XRP also if they do that. Then. Anyway, that is it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!